Congratulations to the Oregon State fans, the band, Mike Riley, their coaching staff. What a great year and what a classy team and what a great game they gave us all. Thank you to the city of San Antonio. And thank you to the Valero Alamo Bowl's 20th anniversary. We're glad we could be here.
What a win for the Texas Longhorns, and what a way for us to kick off Longhorn Extra with the head coach, Mack Brown. Coach, the atmosphere was great there. Clearly you were fired up. I'm just curious, what were you looking at behind the curtain? What was going on there?
Well, I don't, Wizard.
Wizard, right, exactly. I was thinking.
Most of the fans of ours were on that side.
Right.
So I kept thinking I'm talking to a group of fans here, but I'm ignoring everybody behind me that was screaming. So I was trying to be nice and reach out to both groups.
Well, it's such a big win, and obviously the Texas football job is 365 days a year. I'm guessing you had a lot of calls from running back coaches about the opening job. You end up going with Larry Porter. The resume says a lot. I want to hear from you. Why did you choose Coach Porter?
Usually what we do, Kevin, is I have a list of ongoing coaches at each position that I think that if something come open, these would be guys I'd look at: coordinators, position coaches, the special teams get involved, recruiting guys with ties to the University of Texas and the state of Texas, and then I'll ask the staff. Mm-hmm. For instance, if you're on the staff, I'd say, Kevin, give me your top 5 names at the position, and then I get them in their rooms and say, okay, give me what you think of these, and look, and then we narrow it down to 2 or 3. And then, obviously, I want the offensive coaches to be happy with the guy. And Larry was a guy that had strong ties to Dallas in recruiting, strong ties to Houston in recruiting. He had coached at Oklahoma State. Darrell White was there briefly with him before he left to go to Oklahoma, and they were good friends. And then he had coached at LSU with Bo Davis and Stacy Searle. So all these guys said, this guy's unbelievable. Said he's great, he's upbeat, the kids love him, he's the best recruiter I've ever seen. We'd love to have him on our staff. So it made it easy for me, because then the part of the puzzle is we didn't want to bother any of the coaches while they were in their bowl games. Mm-hmm. So we didn't want to, they played the same way same day we did on the 29th, so we didn't want to bring him in or call him or talk to him. So I called Arizona State the next morning after our game and asked him to come in, because then he's got to feel comfortable with me, and we always bring the wife in. Yeah. Because that's important as well. And Charmaine, his wife, was really good friends with the Searles and the Davises and Wyatts as well. So it was an easy choice for us, and he's really excited about being at this school. He's always looked up to our program, and it'll be fun. You know, his reputation as an assistant coach is just phenomenal. He also has been a head coach for a couple of years. You've hired former head coaches. You had Dick Tomey, who you brought in. What kind of an advantage is that to bring in a guy who's doing what you've done? A lot of people don't understand what the head coach goes through. Mm-hmm. Wives don't understand, fans sometimes don't understand, coaches on the staff don't understand. So when you've got a guy that's been there, he's a good voice in that room, because he can simply say, I wouldn't bring this to him right now. Wait, let's look at this differently. And I think Larry will bring a great perspective there. He and I had a great visit about his time at Memphis, and it was his school, and they were in dire straits when he got there, and obviously they had a better year this year, so he got them some good players and got them back on track. But he said it just didn't work, and I appreciated him saying that's on me. It's about leadership, and I didn't get it fixed as fast as it should have. Well, the reason you had to hire a running backs coach is because Major Applewhite has been elevated to quarterbacks coach, and then also play caller, co-offensive coordinator. Give us your impression, and what do you think how do you think he did in his first performance? Well, let me say first that I've been very impressed with Darrell White as well during the season, helping Major and Brian Harsin during the ball games with passing concepts. And so it was an easy decision for us when Brian left. I knew Major was going to step up and take the play caller spot, because he and I talked about that 2 years ago, and that day would come and Brian would leave, and he needed to be ready for it. But I was so impressed with Darrell White. I thought his knowledge in the NFL is passing game knowledge from where he's been was valuable as well. So we put Major in a tough spot, he and Darrell, because really and truly it was partially theirs. But when you haven't called plays in 3 or 4 years and you haven't ever called plays with this offense, right, it's a very difficult thing to do against a really good defense. Yeah. So we struggled early, and the guys kept fighting back and forth there just to figure out what can we get to get something going. And at halftime, we all decided that we needed to get David more relaxed and moving forward. We needed the quarterback running the ball more to ignite him, and we didn't have a backup quarterback that without Jalen losing his eligibility. So we were a little cautious in the first half with David running. And I was really, really impressed that Darryl and Major, the offensive staff, decided to go up tempo. And it really got Oregon State on their heels. They didn't rush the passer as well. They stopped their blitzing. It gave us the ability to run a little bit because we didn't block them or run well in the first half. So I think the first exam for Major for sure, and for Major Darryl and a four-man offensive staff working for a ball game, I thought they did a tremendous job.
Well, you talk about David Ash, first half, second half, he almost looked like a different guy. He did look a lot more relaxed. How much of that was Major or you, the coaching staff, talking to him? I mean, where did the change come from?
He's 10-3 in the last 13 ball games,
People
which is
forget
pretty
that.
good.
Yeah, it is pretty good.
He's about 7th or 8th in passing efficiency in America. So I noticed the other day, I think Johnny Manziel, 68% completions, he's 67.
Right.
So he's done a lot better job than I think he's gotten credit for. But I think Major, being a quarterback at this school under the scrutiny, the pressure that the quarterback has to deal with, did a tremendous job of taking David from a place where it wasn't working well to getting him to a place where he was hot. Mm-hmm. He led the team. He did all the things that we want him to do on a weekly basis, and he had fun. The couple of quarterback draws, the diving in the end zone, he had a little spike there.
Yeah,
we'll have to work
I'm glad he got away with that.
Yeah, well, I'm glad he got away with it too. but it showed some spark coming out there that I think bodes really well for the future.
Well, and you talk about Major. Major was in a quarterback competition. I know this, being born and raised in Austin, Texas. First thing I found out was there's good Tex-Mex, and the backup quarterback is the most popular guy in town. I think you found that out like all coaches do. Is David Ash the undisputed guy going into the spring, or do you open it up again?
No, I think David has earned that right. He's sitting there at 9-3 this year. He's done a lot of great things for us. I think when you look at where he was this time last year after the Cal game, it wasn't everything perfect at that time. And he's had a couple of struggles this year. We forget he's a sophomore quarterback.
Yeah, true sophomore.
And a true sophomore quarterback that, like I said, 10 out of the last 13 wins and 2 bowl wins.
Yeah.
And very few people in our history have had 2 bowl wins. You go back to Colt McCoy, he had a bowl win against Iowa in the Alamo Bowl, and he had a bowl win against Arizona State in the Holiday Bowl. So he and David are sitting in the same place right now. And I think this will give David a lot of confidence for the future as well.
Well, you think about so many of these great quarterbacks that are gone now. I mean, Landry Jones, Colin Klein, Seth Dagey. This is a pretty
Geno Smith.
We can go on. I mean, this is a very talented league with quarterbacks. Nick Florence is gone. Yeah. Well, I guess we could almost name all of them. David Ash is going to return. Do you think that he is kind of the guy in the Big 12 next year that people will be looking at as maybe the best quarterback?
Well, there's a lot of great guys. Oklahoma State's had 3 that played well.
Right,
so
and they're all young.
Those guys so much credit. You got Michael Brewer coming on at Tech, and they've talked to glowing reports about Michael. So I don't think there's any question that David will be in that mix. 2 years ago, our offense wasn't ready to beat a good football team because we couldn't do both.
Right.
We couldn't throw the ball. We could run it, but we couldn't throw it, and then all of our backs got hurt. This year, our defense wasn't ready enough early for us to do the things we need to do. Offense played great. Most of the year struggled some. Kicking game was better. Next year, we should have an older team. We should have more depth because we've had an unheralded amount of injuries.
Yeah.
And I think that's because of youth. I think it's because of lack of depth. So we got to play more people. But next year, our defense, returning everybody but 2 really good players. Our offense, returning just about everybody, a guy or 2 maybe, that Marquise played great the other night. But we should have our first chance to get back and have solid leadership, some depth, some older guys, and get back like a lot of the people we're playing against.
And you lose a couple big ones on defense, so an Alex Okafor and then also Kenny Vaccaro. We saw some young guys really come on this last month. I want to hear from you as a head coach. Who are some of those young guys you're looking to make that big leap for next fall?
The thing that we talked about long and hard yesterday in our 2-hour staff meeting is that who likes to play? who's passionate, who is going to be ready to practice every day like Kenny Vaccaro and like Alex Okafor, and therefore ready to play every week and not have this up and down attitude, so you don't know who's going to show up. And there are a lot of those guys that are that way, and I think the fact that we'll have depth and competition at each of those positions is really going to raise their level of expectation for practice, because they know we're not going to play them unless they do that. But you just look at the linebackers, for instance. Steve Edmond played the least of all the linebackers the other day. Dalton Santos got after it. Now, Dalton sat there on Friday night at the defensive team meeting before the game, and he went up. He just got up and went off.
Really?
He's talking about passion, and I want to fight, and I'm sick of people talking about our defense being bad, and you and Coach Davis, I'll whip you if you get in my way. And
calling coaches out.
He was, and all the kids just cheered and laughed, and it was a great moment for us. So I think we've got more young guys like that are willing to step up. And Peter Jenkins is obviously very emotional. He was trying to get in Colin Klein's face. He ended up being about here on him. He couldn't get up to his face. But you love that attitude. You love that the guys have some spunk. And I think we've got some great times ahead. These guys are growing up, and they've taken their licks. And like you said, we're not happy at 9-4. It was interesting that all the Oregon State people were giving standing ovations for 9-3, and we're getting cussed at 8-4. So it gets a little confusing, but our standards set much higher than that, and that's the good thing about this place.
Oh, as Augie Garrido says, expectations, they're something, aren't they?
They are, but we have established those.
Right.
Augie's established those, and that's a good thing. Coach Roll told me one time, you never want to work at a place that doesn't want to fire you unless you win, and doesn't have enough money to fire you unless you win. He said, no, by the way, we got both. So I think he's right.